Saudi Arabia announced plans to construct a new megacity in the northwestern corner of the country by the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aqaba. The ambitious project will cost about $500 billion and seeks to link to neighboring Egypt and Jordan. Besides its economic feasibility, the proximity of the project could lead to Saudi Arabia's recognition of Israel. Suffice to say, a project of this magnitude is not without its geoeconomic challenges. My name is Shirvon and welcome to Caspian Report. Crown Prince bin Salman revealed his flagship project during the Future Investment Initiative on October 24th. The proposal, called NEOM, takes Neo as in new from ancient Greek, and M from the word for Mustaqbal, which means future in Arabic. So the project literally translates to new future. The terminology of the megacity is a reference to Saudi Arabia's quest to reform its economy and prepare itself for the post-oil environment. The blueprint of the NEOM project envisions a city that hosts a variety of industries, including biotechnology, advanced manufacturing, digital services, as well as commerces that focus on energy, water, food, media, and even entertainment. To top things off, the plan is to integrate disruptive technologies and innovations into the city. For instance, public transportation in the city will be run by autonomous vehicles. Robots will handle repetitive tasks, and power will derive from solar and wind energy, etc. This may sound overly ambitious, but it is easier to design a new city and integrate disruptive innovations into it than it is to merge these technologies into existing cities. The blueprint for this aspiring megacity is set at $500 billion. For Crown Prince bin Salman, the only way to acquire the necessary funds is to sell a part of Saudi Aramco and fill the treasury of the Public Investment Fund, which is Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund. From there, the Saudis could finance the development of the megacity. Klaus Kleinfeld, the former CEO of Siemens AG and Alcoa, oversees the Saudi project. He will have to bring in private investors to fill in the remaining funds for the project. Already, the Japanese multinational SoftBank Group has agreed to buy a significant stake in the state-controlled Saudi electric company that will provide renewable energy for the new megacity. The Saudi government hasn't published a master plan for this city yet, but it has released a promotional video which depicted not only a thriving city, but also a lifestyle that is absent in the modern Saudi kingdom. The footage portrayed women jogging and actively participating in the public life. This is a far cry from the current situation, but as we pointed out before, economic reform in Saudi Arabia will have to be accompanied by social change. Judging by the promotional video, the blueprint for the NEOM project implies that the new megacity will operate independently from the existing governmental structure and the Saudi government. The city could have its own regulations, laws, and taxes. In this context, the Saudi project shares many of the characteristics that are present in other free economic zones, such as in Dubai and Singapore. These existing cities have their own laws and regulations, and thus operate separately from the rest of their respective governments. And just as Dubai and Singapore are located near strategic straits, so too does the NEOM project sit near global maritime choke points. About 10% of the world's trade passes through the Suez Canal and the Mandeb Strait, located in Egypt and in between Yemen and Djibouti respectively. Developing a new industrial and financial megahub that borders a trade-active area carries substantial potential, but such a project is not without its challenges. The NEOM megacity is set at the entrance to the Gulf of Aqaba and seeks to connect to Egypt and Jordan across the Straits of Tiran, which is a narrow passage between the Sinai and Arabian peninsulas. Last year, Egypt accepted Saudi Arabia's sovereignty over the islands of Tiran and Sanafir that sit in the straits in exchange for billions of dollars in aid. However, connecting Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan will require the construction of a 10-kilometer bridge and causeway, which will allow the countries to carry rail and road traffic across the Straits of Tiran. However, the 1979 peace treaty between Egypt and Israel guarantees the latter's access to the Red Sea. An infrastructure project that crosses the Straits of Tiran would, therefore, violate Israel's access to the Red Sea under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Israel has been firm in its stance towards the Straits of Tiran. In 1967, Egypt's closure of the straits to Israeli shipping was one of the reasons for the Six-Day War, meaning Israeli involvement in the NEOM project is critical for the success of the venture, and it's likely to result in Saudi Arabia's formal recognition of the State of Israel. For Israel, the NEOM project is of exceptional value. The Israeli high-speed railway project to Eilat, which is a port city by the Gulf of Aqaba, serves as an ideal complementary component of the Saudi megacity. By extending the NEOM project with the overland transshipment of the Eilat Railway, the Saudi project would appeal to global maritime trading powers such as China. Beijing already has outstanding relations with both Israel and Saudi Arabia and would therefore eagerly cooperate with both parties in the NEOM and the Eilat Railway projects. In the long term, however, cooperation and recognition from Egypt and Saudi Arabia could also help Israel to mend ties with its Arab neighbors. Hence, the NEOM project offers not only financial opportunities, but also marks the first geopolitical opening for Israel to reconcile with its neighbors. Since reconciliation with the Arab nations is fundamental to the geopolitical interests of Israel, American and Israeli policymakers could throw their weights behind the NEOM project. That said, an agreement between Israel, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Jordan would have to go through the back channels, since a public debate on such matters would lead to a blowback in the Arab nations. Such back channels already exist between Saudi and Israeli firms, especially in the sphere of water conservation, cybersecurity, etc. And these agreements usually go through US subsidiaries. That's also how a NEOM-related agreement to the Gulf of Aqaba and the Straits of Tiran will likely be reached. In essence, the NEOM project has no shortage of ambition. The Saudi government aims to complete the first stage of the megacity by the end of 2025, and it has already allocated more than 26,000 square kilometers for the development of the project. To put that in perspective, that is larger than the state of New Jersey, or slightly smaller than the nation of Belgium. If the project succeeds, it would propel Saudi Arabia into the post-oil era. It would also designate the country as one of the leaders in utilizing disruptive innovations in the development of new cities. However, as grand as the Saudi project is, there is no guarantee that any of this will go according to plan. Previous Saudi plans to create modern cities have all failed. For instance, in 2005, construction began on the King Abdullah Economic City, which lies around 100 kilometers north of Jeddah. Initially, the project had a budget of $100 billion and was expected to be completed by 2010. Today, however, construction is still ongoing and the project needs additional financial stimulants. So there is no guarantee that the new megacity will be any different from the previous Saudi projects. As such, the reception of the NEOM project has been met with mixed results. Some applaud bin Salman for boldly driving the kingdom towards reform, while others point to past failed attempts to overhaul the Saudi economy. Yet, regardless of its feasibility, the Saudi government has no choice but to try and find ways to move away from its dependency on energy revenues. The country must take advantage of its current financial resources to implement economic reform while it is still able to do so. As we have explained in an earlier report, bin Salman's young age means that he will rule the country for the next decades. This means that unlike his predecessors, he cannot pass the necessary economic reforms to the next ruler. He has to find ways to create enough sustainable wealth to avoid social unrest. That is the primary purpose of the NEOM project. If the Crown Prince fails, the consequences will come back to haunt him. In this regard, bin Salman will be the man who either makes or breaks the Saudi kingdom. So despite the tenability of the NEOM megacity, the Crown Prince believes it's a project worth pursuing. This was a Caspian report by me, Shirvon. For more geopolitical content, check out our playlists, and if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, now would be a great time to do so. Just remember to click on the gray bell icon to enable future notifications of new videos. Also, I want to thank our top contributors on Patreon for making this report possible. They basically give us the means to keep making new content. The regular videos that we've been doing is the direct result of our crowdfunding. So if you want to be part of that, or if you're searching for additional perks, visit patreon.com/Caspian Report. For now, thank you for your time and Sağ ol.